Hi. Okay, in this session we will discuss about the test process. Test process is very important topic and we will cover about the test process in detail. Okay, let's discuss what is test process. As you know, in the QA quality assurance role, it is critical to implement the key aspect of test process to ensure thorough and effective testing. So first of all, you should understand what is test process. So in testing, we perform different activities. For example, when project initiates, QA involves, and so quality assurance team does planning. So regarding test process, they it consists of following main activities. For example, test planning, test monitoring, and control. So in test planning, we plan all the things, what resources we will use, what is schedule, all those stuff. And test monitoring and control, we monitor, we gather the information about the tests and their environments. And test analysis part, we analyze the our test results, and in the test design we design the actually we design the test cases. For example, let me show you the I will share the screen. Will show you the test cases, and in the test planning we plan the actually we plan, for example, API test plan, automation test planning was done. So in test implementation, we implement those test cases, whether these are manual or automated, and test execution, we execute those test cases. Um, a manual test case is executed by manual tester, and automated test cases are executed by automated tester. And test, in the end we have test completion. In test completion, all those test cases are completed. Now we have wrap up of the things, and report is generated, which is communicated to stakeholder. So let me share the screen. I can show you the test plan. One example test plan. This is actually API test plan. Okay, as you can see, this one is API test plan. So it looks like that. We define the objective, API description, scope, their environment, the test data, where we will get the test data, what will be our test strategy, what environment we will be using, defect reporting a procedure where we will report the defects, and what will the procedure of reporting, test coverage, risk and mitigation, very important. Risk areas identified and mitigation strategies are written. So in test tools, which tools we are going to use for in API testing, rest assured with testng or other stuff is used. Role and responsibilities, because in quality assurance team we have different roles and responsibilities. Lead have different role. Lead and manager usually do prepare the test plan, and they have different responsibility. They manage the team and communicate with stakeholders. And juniors have different responsibilities, seniors have different responsibilities, and this we have test deliverables. So this was about test plan, and we also prepared the test cases, which you can see test cases had different elements. For example, test case ID, test case description, and precondition steps involved, actual result and expected results. So in this case we have test data also. So we have different test cases. We used to write those test cases. Manual testers used to write the test cases, and then in the test analysis phase we get together and identify which test cases we are going to automate, and so on. So let's go back to slides, and okay, stop sharing. Okay. uh, so in test process, we it's a contextual factor that influence the test process for an organization include but not limited to. So software development lifecycle model and project methodology is being used, test level and test type being considered. So in some organization we have maturity, they have achieved CMI maturity level 5, they have well matured, they used to they have In the test level we have unit test, integration test. In the unit testing is you automated. So these are very important. Product and project risks, business domain, because many then can be different business, life-saving business can be different, and it depends. Organizational constraint, for example, their budget, resource, time scale, complexity, construction and regulatory requirements, organization policies and practices, required internal and external standards. So these were factors that influence our test process. Now let's discuss about test planning. In the test planning, we do the following main activities: determining the scope and risk, and identifying the objective of testing. So in the test planning, we prepare the test plan. We prepared API test plan, manual test planning was done. We prepared automation. For example, UI test plans are done, and developers used to do unit test plans and so on. For in this phase we do overall approach of testing. We define the overall approach of testing, scheduling test activities, assigning resources for the activities. So different sources are assigned, so we manage it. So test lead or test manager are very important and plays a key role in this session. They schedule the test activities, assign the concerned resources, defining the amount, detail and template for documentation. So test plans are also documented. Scheduling matrices for monitoring and controlling, so the very important, because at the end of this activity we need to show something to management. Matrices are prepared, so data is very important. Defining entry and exit criteria. In user story we have entry and exit criteria we define, because these are very important in test closure activities. Deciding about automation. So in this test planning session we decide what how we are going to automate, and their time schedule and so on. So we decide about automation, how much automation effort will be required, what resources will be involved, and their cost, effort, everything is planned in this activity. Okay, and in the next we have test monitoring and control. So we monitored our test activities. In this it is a process of measuring the progress on project. That so test matrices are collected. These contain set of formulas. For example, defect coverage. When we talk about execution rate, it is number of test cases executed over total number of planned test plan for execution into 100. So test execution rate formulas are defined. And test control involves taking action necessary to meet the objectives of the test. So in test analysis phase we do analyze the information needed in order to start the test analysis and create our test cases. In the test analysis phase we evaluate the test bases and test items to identify defects of various types, such as ambiguous, emissions, inconsistencies, inaccuracies, etc. So in test analysis phase we had the requirement SRS document, so there can be something missed in the SRS document. So in this phase we analyze those things. We identify features and set of features to be tested. In this case we also analyze what features will be tested, what will be automated, features will be automated, and so on. In this phase we define and prioritize test conditions for each feature based on analysis of test bases, considering functional, non-functional and structural characteristics, other business and technical factors, and level of risks. in test design, we actually design our test cases and we prioritize our test cases. In the test design, we identify necessary test data to support the test condition and test cases. So in the automation case, we may be using Faker library. We have test data in Excel sheet, CSV files, and so on. In the test design, we design the test environment and identify required infrastructure and tool. So in test design, suppose we have three environment: dev environment, staging, productions. So we also keep in mind that those environment, we prepare the testing environment, create bidirectional traceability between test bases and test cases. So test cases should be traceable back to requirement. For example, test cases which I have shown you, these are based upon our requirements. So in the agile environment, we have user stories, so these should be linked our user story. So Jira is a tool which helps to do that. So all the things should be there in Jira. So in the test implementation, we do the following activities: developing and writing test procedure and potentially creating automated test scripts. So as we are in implementation phase, so we used to create automated test scripts. So in this phase, we create test suite from test procedure and automated test scripts, arranging the test suite within the test execution schedule in a way that results in efficient test execution, building the test environment including potentially test harness, service virtualization, simulators, and other infrastructure items, and verifying everything needed has been set up correctly. So in the test implementation, we prepare test data and ensure that it is properly loaded into the test environment, verifying, updating bidirectional traceability between test bases, test condition, test cases, test procedure, and test source. So in the test execution phase, we actually execute our test cases, recording the IDs and version of test item, test subject, test tools, and test where. We execute tests manually or through automated tools, comparing actual result with expected result. If there is any failure, we log that failure in bug reporting tool. We analyze the anomalies to establish their likely causes. So failure may be due to defects in the code, but false positive may also occur. So we log the outcome of in test execution, pass fail block. We repeat the test activities. For example, if there is anomaly or is we have plan for retesting, execution of corrected tests, we do retesting, regression testing, and so these all activities are performed in test execution. So in the test completion, this is the last phase, and this is wrap up the things. So in test completion, we check whether all defect reports are closed, entering change request or product backlog item for any defect that remain unresolved at end of test execution. We create a test summary report to be communicated to the stakeholders. So usually test lead and manager prepare the reports and they communicate, maybe weekly, usually weekly update from QA department is sent to stakeholder, for example CCO and CTO, etc. So we finalize and archive the test environment and test data, the test infrastructure, and other tests were for later reuse. So in test completion phase, we handing over the test where to the maintenance team, other project items, and who could benefit from its use. We analyze the lesson learned from completed test activities to determine changes needed for future iteration, releases, or projects. So lesson learned are documented, and in this case we can improve. So we improved our test maturity. We Because test maturity can be improved, we have backing with our with the data. So we have data, we have experience, we gain the experience in all those test activities in this process. So we mature our test process by using the gather information by collective intelligence. So in test work products, there are many work products. In the test planning work products, we have test planning typically includes test plans. Test plans includes information about the test basis to which the other test work products will be related via traceability information. In the test monitoring and control work product, typically includes type of test reports, test progress report, and test summary report. So test monitoring and control work product should also address project management concerns such as task completion, resource allocation, and using and effort. Test analysis work products include define and prioritize test conditions, each of which is ideally bidirectional traceability to specific elements of the test basis it covers. For exploratory testing, test analysis may involve the test creation of test charter. So in the test design work products, test design results in test cases and a set of test cases to exercise the test condition defined in test analysis. So test design also results in the design or identification and necessary test data, the test design of the test environment, and the identification of infrastructure and tool through the extent in which these results are documented very significantly. So in the test design work products, we have test data. Test data can be in CSV file. In our database we have separate QA database for testing and so on. In the test implementation work product, we have test procedures and the sequences of those test procedures, test suits, test execution schedule. Test implementation also may result in the execution, the creation and verification of test data and the test environment. In the test execution work product, we in this phase, we are executing test cases. So we prepare the defect report, documentation of status of individual test cases or test procedures, ready to run, pass, fail, block, deliberately skip test cases, etc. Documentation about which test item, test subjects, test tool, and test were involved in the testing. So in the test completion work product, this is our last phase. In this phase, we do tests. We prepare the summary report, action items for improvement of subsequent projects or iterations. So in this case, we may have block items, finalized test where, pass, fail, all those stuffs are written in this report. So in the last, let me discuss about traceability between test bases and test work products. So in addition to evaluating of test coverage, good traceability supports analyzing the impact of change, making testing auditable. So testing is only auditable if we have documented each and every step. For example, we have documented requirement, we have written the test cases, we prepare the automation script, we executed, and all the resources were synced. Every meeting, stand-up meeting, we are conducting daily stand-up meeting, everything is documented, so we can audit, we can improve. So process improvement is very important. Day by day we should improve, team should improve, processes should be improved. Meeting RT governance criteria. So improving the understanding of test progress report and test summary report to include the status of elements of test spaces. For example, requirement that pass their test, requirement that have failed their test, and a requirement that have pending test. Relating the technical aspect of testing to stakeholders in terms that they can understand. Providing information to assess product quality, process capability, and project progress against business goals. So this was all about test process. Okay, see you in the next session. Thank you very much. Bye.